What is going on, everyone, and welcome to Around the Metaverse, our weekly show where we bring together some of the best content creators from the blockchain and NFT gaming community, talk about all the recent news, and give you guys everything you need to know to stay up to date. It's been a couple weeks, but happy to be back, man. My name is Adam. I'll be your host today, and we got a great group of guests for our first show back for you guys watching out there. We got CryptoStache in the house, first and foremost, of course. How you doing today, my friend?
Good, man. Market's looking a little bit green today, which is nice, a little relief. But I don't know if it'll last. But I'm happy to be here with you guys. Like I said, we did take some time off, so good to be back after a couple weeks.
Good to be back. Good to be all eyes on the market right now. All eyes on a lot of things right now.
Yeah.
We got Deezy in the house too, man. How you doing today?
Oh man, appreciate the chance of being on. Looking forward to this. Just had Stache on the show that I host on Friday, so it's good to kind of. I always like just being a guest on a show. It's
much
tough
easier.
being a host, man. What you do is not easy, Alex. Man.
I
we
know,
all
right?
appreciate it.
I do all the work, and you guys just answer the questions, right? It's easy peasy. We got PandaPops returning again. One long timer on the show. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing real good, thanks. Thanks for having me on again. Absolutely love being here, talking about anything to do with crypto, blockchain. It's all fun stuff. I try not to look at the price. I just buy when I need to buy.
Who needs prices and stuff when you have NFTs, right?
This is true.
Right? You get in the sandbox. Who cares about what the price is? You're doing your thing.
Yeah. Just living my meta world forever.
Yep. No worries. And last but certainly not least, happy to join us again on the show. We have Brycent. How you doing today?
Good. Just vibing, hanging out. The metaverse is crazy. A lot of news in the NFT space. So super excited and honored to be back on the show. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Happy to have you. And we have a great couple topics for us to go over today, man. A jam-packed show.
Juicy.
We're going to be talking about FTX going all in on Web3 gaming with the massive announcement they just had. Axie Infinity versus Pegaxy, two of the big player, I guess you could say, in the play to earn game, and the challenger, a little bit of a David versus Goliath situation we have on our hands. And then finally, NFT lawsuits and regulations, and just OpenSea, pardon my language, but shitting the bed yet again.
Shitting everything, shitting all over the bed, shitting all over the floor. They went to the bathroom, they couldn't make it in the toilet, they shit all over the damn rim.
Yeah, it's not looking good for OpenSea. If you're a competitive NFT market, start putting money towards marketing, because I think you'll like what comes of it. But on our first topic, let's jump right into it. FTX is all in on Web3 gaming. In a recent announcement they just made, FTX has actually launched a new division called FTX Gaming, where they're essentially going to be partnering with blockchain games and things like that to give them the resources they need to kind of make games with good thought out economies, be able to host NFTs, things like that. And they're even launching a service they're naming crypto, or I guess they're launching a product they're calling crypto as a service, where they're going to be kind of giving tools to also legacy, I guess you could say, game development companies to be able to kind of enter this play to earn blockchain gaming space, which I thought was an interesting thing too. Stache, I want to start on you, man. What do you think FTX has to gain from this new division, FTX Gaming? And, do you think what they're bringing to the table is going to be significant?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the right move for what they're trying to do here, which is take over. For lack of a better term, man, FTX kind of came out of nowhere in the past couple of years and has become a major player globally, not just here in the US, but all across the globe. And it's very reminiscent of how Binance came on the scene. Before Binance hit, there was other major exchanges that were kind of dominating things, and then they came out and just kind of started crushing the game. And they've since become the largest exchange out there. And now FTX is kind of doing something similar. Their play here and the way they're moving really big kind of feels very similar to me. So, the fact that they're moving into NFTs and they kind of did it, fairly quickly, and now they're moving into gaming as well. Like, they want to try and take over, man. So I think it makes sense. I will say the FTX kind of like, crypto as a service to games is something that, we've seen Engine doing for years already. So I'm kind of interested to see how they stack up against what Engine has done and how they kind of work versus, what FTX can pull off. I mean, obviously them being an exchange gives them a little bit of a different set. They don't come from the development world or the gaming world. They come from the finance world of it. So that might actually be more of incentive for companies if they're going to be offering, large paydays for people to kind of come on board and like onboard some of these games and say, hey, use our service essentially, and we're going to give you X amount of so and so on our platform as kind of credit. And we didn't see as much of that from Engine when they first got started, and now that they're kind of moving over to Efinity, I don't know that it's going to how that's going to kind of affect it. Maybe FTX rises up while they're still kind of trying to get that together. So I'm pretty interested to kind of see how that works out. And obviously they're really bullish, I think, when it comes to NFTs and a platform with Solana. So that also is going to be something that we'll see how that plays out. They've definitely gone heavy on Solana. So I think it's the right move. I think it's a good move.
Yeah, I was about to say it's interesting. Engine, pivoting to Affinity and then being kind of what they're aiming for is like the layer 0, right? For the metaverse. Whereas Solana is starting to, and FTX being a big proponent behind a lot of Solana projects, maybe they find their niche in gaming too. So I don't know, maybe there's room for both of them. Who knows? But yeah, I'm curious as to what they're going to be bringing to the table too with this crypto as a service piece. And like you said, Engine's been doing that for a long time. But FTX is kind of coming from the financial side of things instead of the game development side of things. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Brycent, I want to know your opinion, man. Do you think that, or like what sort of benefits do you think crypto as a service is going to bring to, say, like the metaverse or play to earn gaming?
I mean, I think it could be huge because a lot of these games, they're in spaces where I think from a tokenomics perspective, most of them really don't either need tokens or they don't really know what to do with them. And kind of having an additional layer of assistance, I think there could be a lot of good things that come out of it. I'm incredibly bullish on what FTX is doing, though. I think getting into gaming is a big W for the entire space. And like the funny thing is, my favorite NFT game right now is actually on Solana. So it'll be very interesting to see how that ecosystem plays out.
What you mind sharing what your favorite NFT game right now is?
Yeah, contrary to most people's probably belief, because like I'm, mostly known for being the Axie guy. I am a huge FPS guy. So Mini Royale is my favorite game, easily my favorite game on the blockchain. I have like, I don't know how many hours I put into it playing 1v1s because the game doesn't even have that many players yet. So it'll be me and some random guy from Europe just grinding it out. But yeah, I'm bullish on everything that they're building and a big fan of what Solana's doing.
Where were you on Thursday? I mean, we played Mini Royale on Secret Agent Stache, my live stream I do Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
You were getting down.
You might have been, dude, I was might have been the one who I was going to say, you might have been killing Stache.
me and my co-host were getting our ass kicked in it, but it was still fun. I like the game, so.
Dude, it might have been me. Dude, I have games in Mini Royale now where I intentionally pray that they put me on the team with less players. I played a 1v4 capture the flag on Mini Royale the other day and went like 29-0 in kills.
Wow.
I'm pretty cracked at that game.
Are you Brycent on there too, or you have a different
Yeah, I'm Brycent on there too.
Okay, so no, we didn't play with you. I would have.
Bryson's going to be the first. He's going to be on the top recruit for the first Mini Royale esports team.
I'm bullish on Mini, bullish on Solana.
Yeah, me too. Another good one for you guys watching who might not know of games out there. Panzer Dog's a good one to check out too. But let's get back to the topic. Deezy, I want to get your opinion, man, too, on this. What sort of advantages or disadvantages do you see like FTX Gaming coming from, as Stache was saying, the financial side of things, say compared to like Polygon Studios, who, is a division of the Polygon network that kind of made a big splash in play to earn gaming 6 or 7 months ago, I think, when they opened that up.
Well, the advantages and the disadvantages for FTX are kind of the same thing. I think it's their size and the amount of money they have. So with game industries, we've seen it time and time again over the last few years. A lot of the most popular games have been smaller indie games, and you'll have your huge, AAA title that's, cranking out every year, your Call of Duty. That's such a large undertaking. That's going to be a multi-year thing. But we've seen it with Among Us, just recently we've seen it with Wordle, even though Wordle is, mostly a word-based game. Some of the older viewers might remember a Flappy Birds, the whole thing. You sell your phone for like $10,000 if it had Flappy Birds on it. So, their amount of money they have is going to be, somewhat of a disadvantage, because I'm sure you're going to have some executive doesn't want to put out, what might be a smaller tier kind of quote unquote, tier B game, they're going to want, no, I want to compete with Halo. I want to compete with Call of Duty. And, you're going to have these indie developers. They're going to make something that's just way more exciting, way more fun, that just, kind of sweeps the whole industry. Whereas the big game is going to take too long. It's probably going to fail. It's, a higher likelihood of failure, I would even say, just because there's going to be more and more moving parts. But with that money, I would also say it's an advantage, because then they can go out and buy these indie game studios and then just incorporate that game into, whether it's a metaverse or a play to earn or some sort of tokenomics. So I would say the advantages and the disadvantages would be the same. Comparing it to Polygon, it's probably some of the same issues, but it's just going to have, Sam Bankman-Fried at the helm, and hopefully he steers them in the right direction.
I sure hope he does, man. And I like him as one of the top, I guess, faces we see around the cryptosphere.
He's a real guy. You see with the shoelaces, he's a man of the people.
He doesn't have time to get all dressed up for Congress or anyone like that, because he's busy making sure your funds are safe on FTX, right?
Yeah, he's watching that Solana price.
But yeah, and I agree with you too, man. I think it could be a good thing or a bad thing that they're coming into the space, since they do have a lot of money. And maybe they don't necessarily have, I guess, the same interests all the time as an indie game developer would, right, when they're bringing their game to the table. PandaPops, I want to ask you, do you think this is a good or a bad thing for the blockchain gaming community? I mean, do you see FTX exploiting, indie game development studios or something like that potentially happening?
I don't think I could see them exploiting indie games at all. To be honest, I think all it could do really is help them. If they can put money behind them, it would be more up to the indie games on what sort of contract, if that does happen, if they go, look, we're going to buy you out or whatever, to sort of lay down, we don't want this changed about our game, we don't want that changed about our game. That I could see as an exploit, especially if it's something really good that gets people to go back. Because the one thing, especially with bigger games, is you generally see the storytelling and the actual sort of enjoyment of a game just sort of taking a back burner for amazing AAA graphics or all this stuff. I mean, I don't think it would be that hard, even if there was a real big game, to be able to implement NFTs. If you take League of Legends, all they need to do is just change their Riot coin to a crypto coin, and then you're spending your crypto to buy your skins, and then your skins are NFTs. It would be fairly easy to implement it in certain ways, and then you would just have the right to actually sell those. So one of the things I just really, really dislike about normal games is if I spend money on a skin, I don't actually own it. So, I mean, I don't see it being a bad thing, but yeah, I don't see it being a bad thing. I think they could do really well. And the more people getting into this space and trying to push NFTs in the gaming world is a benefit to it, because then it solidifies that this isn't just a big scam. I think I mentioned last time, all you see in the media is people either getting scammed or spending thousands of dollars on an ape profile picture, and people going, this is crazy, instead of actual good games with good NFTs with good utility. So the more that sort of gets picked up in the media and more places that want to implement this, the better.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's funny you bring up League of Legends too, because for you guys watching out there and anyone here who might be a player, I swear to God, they had this profile picture creation thing a little while ago that looked just it looked like a PFP you would buy on OpenSea. You went in there, you made your avatar, you clicked create, and all that was missing was, an extremely large $800 gas fee or whatever, But yeah, man, I think FTX joining the space is probably a good thing overall, and I can't see them doing anything to hurt games. Like you said, everyone who's pushing the boundary on this stuff is pushing it in the right direction for the most part, and that's the direction we need to be going in. But let's jump to our next topic here, talking about play to earn games, and two of, I guess, the ones that are in the limelight recently, Axie Infinity versus Pegaxy. whereas Axie Infinity is the Goliath in this situation, in a David versus Goliath situation. Pegaxy, the new kid on the block, making all the headlines these days. Taking up all the new scholars maybe away from Axie Infinity, but that's what I want to get your guys' opinion on. So Brycent, let me start with you, man. I know you are founding a guild right now, or a founder of a guild right now too, who has a lot of skin in the game when it comes to both of these games. So I want to ask you first, which do you think is, I guess, a better game to get invested in as from an asset manager perspective,
Oh my goodness, you're putting me on the spot. You want me to use my regular voice or my cowboy Brycent voice? Because I can go either way. If I'm playing Pegaxy, I'm going to talk like cowboy Brycent. And if I'm playing Axie Infinity, I'm going to talk like regular Bryce. But it's interesting. I think that this entire guild space around these games, it's very much based on which guilds get in first and then value extract them to the floor currently. I'm personally not high up on the fact that all these games have utility tokens, because you can't create enough burn mechanisms to outweigh inflation where you don't have enough consumer audiences playing the game. I would say at this point, to be honest, both of them probably yield you the same level of returns. I think the price for Viz is around the same as SLP. So you're not really making much, if not any money from either of them from a guild perspective. We don't even look at it as a money maker. We kind of see our asset lending in these games as a marketing kind of expense. We actually are building consumer tech behind the scenes and working to get our tech in Discords and DAOs and different things. So most people see us as a front facing guild, but we realize that the farming ecosystem wasn't a sustainable business model. So I would say you're looking at about the same return on investment right now, maybe a little better with Pegaxy, because people don't actually have to learn how to play the game. So they can just click the button and the horse races, and it's a little fun. So I would probably say if I was investing 10 grand right now, I'd probably go Pegaxy, just because listen. Listen. Hey, yo. Listen.
Oh, you knocked him out of his seat, man. You knocked him out of his seat.
Chill. You're about to get me kicked out of the Axie coalition. The reason why I say this is because, listen, if you're trying to start a scholarship from zero, and you got to get into the space where your scholars have to learn how to play this game, and if they don't play the game well, they're gonna lose. Versus you're guaranteed probably 5 to 6 wins on your Pega every single day, and you don't got to teach your scholars anything, bro. I'm putting the money in Pegaxy. The scholars want to play Pegaxy because it's an easier game for them to pick up, because you just press a button. If the returns are the same and it's going to be less stressful, just put it in Pegaxy and forget about it right now. Because if the returns are both at the same, which I think they are. Now, V3 could release in a month and a half, and Axie could boom. And then we're having a different conversation. But based on what we're talking about right now, I think the returns in Pegaxy are probably slightly better.
Yeah, well, that was a great answer, man. And you basically just answered the next 3 questions that I was going to ask everyone. So we're good though. We're good. I want to get your opinion too, Stache, I guess too, on we'll just get past which one is it better to get into as a scholar, because I think most everyone is thinking Pegaxy, right?
Well, I think that I agree with Brycent on a lot of those points. But what I will say about the differences here is, obviously, Pegaxy is it's random. It's what are you gonna win? It's random. There's no skill involved at all. Definitely not the case with Axie. There is skill involved there. But I think one of the big differences too is that Pegaxy took the whole scholarship manager system and made it a system ingrained into their game. I am surprised. I'm still flabbergasted at the point that Axie has not already done this. Another game literally took their model they've pioneered and built it into their game before Axie built it into their game. I'm seriously surprised that they never got around and understood that was a huge factor of why the game is being successful, why it continues to be successful, and that they never incorporate that into their game loop. Pegaxy did that.
Stache, they didn't even. So Axie doesn't actually come out and say that they support and back scholarships.
I know. That's why it's unbelievable that they've gone that route. So I mean, I think that Pegaxy saw that, they saw how successful it was, they incorporated it as part of their game loop. because that's what people are going to do anyways. That's the whole point of why we have NFTs and crypto. People are already trying to sell their skins, getting their accounts banned because they're trying to sell gold or in-game currency on eBay or whatever it is. Make it a part of the game loop. That's where NFTs come in. You make it a part of the game loop. You monetize it in the correct way. And Pegaxy has done a great job with that and creating a system where it's all automated. There's no risk involved. You're not having to worry about juggling things and spreadsheets and crazy stuff. It's all right there built in. And I think that gives it the win in my book when it comes to making a choice between one or the other. Obviously, it's not the most interesting thing to watch. I mean, because I wouldn't consider it a game. They are working on like a more 3D like racetrack version where there will be some stuff kind of involved with it. So this is kind of very early in their stage of development, I would say. But yeah, I think that's kind of what puts it over the top for me.
Well, yeah, and I think it's interesting too to kind of compare them at this stage also, just because like Axie Infinity again has been around since, I mean, before in the dark ages of the NFT days, you know what I mean? Yeah. And they're just kind of rounding the corner on another big update that they're about to have coming out. Whereas Pegaxy kind of new on the scene, talking about the updates that they're going to have, where it's going to become a skills-based game and less random. So interesting to see how that's going to develop, kind of with one being out much longer than the other. PandaPops, I want to ask you on that, or specifically, I guess, on the Axie Infinity side of things too. They have this huge Origin update coming out, and it seems like kind of the spotlight has shifted a bit from them to Pegaxy. Do you think when Origin finally kind of starts rolling out here in the next month, that we're going to see maybe it come back to Axie, everyone start talking about it again, the price of SLP going up?
Well, I hope so. I don't. So I feel like a lot of people got into Axie right when SLP was at its utmost peak, and they think that's the normal price. That's not the normal price. The normal price should never have been 30 cents or however much it went up to. I see it being an average of 10 cents being roughly about right for a utility token that is pretty much, literally only used for breeding. It shouldn't be skyrocketing to ridiculous amounts. Like, it's great if it does and you catch it, and that's fantastic. But I think a lot of people saw it at that height, made a ton of money real fast, and just expected that to continue. I do see it going up when Origin comes out. I see it going up more when land gameplay comes out. Like, that's what I'm waiting for. Land gameplay. That's what we want. To be.
You might be waiting a while.
Oh, no. Shush. They promised it last year. It's happening. I'm going to live in my fantasy world for as long as possible.
Ronan is going to announce the newest, new game being built on Ronan before Axie Land comes out.
No, yeah, probably. I fully believe that. But no, Origin looks a lot more interesting. There's going to be more happening with it. I'm excited about the Builders Grant as well, the games that people are building. But in terms of will the limelight shift all the way back to Axie, I'm not entirely convinced it will. I think it will to some extent. I see SLP go up slightly. Pegaxy does not interest me at all. I bought a horse back when Zed Run was big, and I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to race my horse. It's going to be amazing. I wasn't bothered by it. I was so bored. There's only so much I can do. Sit there and watch this horse race. I mean, Brycent, you make it look friggin' hilarious. Like, well done. For Pegaxy anyway. But it's just the same thing, except for you. It's a Pegasus. It's just a Zed Run with wings.
Well, we got more on deck too. I mean, I don't know if you guys have heard, like, Chicken Run or Chicken Derby is another one that I think is going to be like.
Derby. Who doesn't love chickens?
But
we're going to have the chicken iteration of this next. Is going to be the next moneymaker.
But aren't they doing with Chicken Derby? Like, they're going to have like special abilities, like you can drop bombs and like a little bit like Mario Kart, but with chickens and obviously on the racetrack. See, that seems a little bit more interesting to me, because then it adds a little bit more. But in terms of, I don't class anything as a game if all I need to do is press go and go, bye. That's not a game.
Yeah, fair.
I mean, like, you can call it an idle game, but is it a game? Like, is it really?
Well,
Listen, I can't have you. I got to stop you there. I can't have you sitting here talking poorly about Pegaxy. I get to go out there and play with my Pegas every goddamn day, and I love every moment of it. And Stache, you know I love every moment of it, and I can't stand for it much longer.
I'm sorry, but no, it's not a game. It's the same way I won't class Star Atlas currently as a game.
Shots fired, but
no,
also true.
I think it's good. Like, you're staking. Staking's great, but I don't class it as a game yet.
Fair. And I think you brought up a good point too when you were talking about how like a lot of people got into Axie Infinity, and when the price was super to the moon essentially, and no one really understood that economy wasn't sustainable, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of these play to earn games are essentially like being touted as like you can make a living wage off, right? Which I think should be something that happens, right? Or should be something that we can be able to create in this space, right? But Deezy, I want to ask you on this. Like, do you think that it's even possible, I guess, to create that? Like, because as PandaPops said, Axie people were making a living wage, right, in the Philippines, and maybe they still are. It dipped a little bit below, I think, average living wages with the SLP drop that we had recently. But like, is it ever going to be possible, I guess, to make a living playing play to earn games like fully?
It's definitely possible. It's possible today. You just got to jump ship every 3 months. That's the problem. I was actually talking in my office today. We're trying to, what is the fundamental issue with play to earn games? And it's always going to be selling pressure outstrips buying pressure. You get temporary reliefs if you have, unsustainable player growth. And I don't think we'll ever really hit that level of, 3 billion people, ended up playing this game. And even if that did happen, what happens after all 3 billion play? That's when it's going to be a race to the bottom with that token price. I think what eventually the space might evolve into is maybe what we kind of saw with DeFi. You go from, you get excited about 37,000% APY, but once you're in the space for a little bit, you see that as a red flag. But when you're new, you're like, oh, wow, I'm so excited. Similar, we're going to see a thing with ROI. So you'll see a ROI of, 30 days and, it'll pay for itself. And, you'll get excited as a player and you're like, oh my God, I got to get in on this. But then I think, we'll evolve and we'll eventually start looking at, 180-day ROI, 6-month ROI as the new normal, the new healthy. So I think, that problem will never be solved as long as we have these, basically just ROIs that aren't reasonable, that, you can't expect everybody to get all their money back in 30 days and then just continue, you're given this token and, oh, I'm just going to breed forever, or I'm going to upgrade my, the stirrups on my horse for, oh, I want a new saddle. And you know what, next Tuesday, I want a new saddle. And the Tuesday after that, I want a new saddle. It will never happen. So for us, trying to make it happen, it can't happen.
Yeah, keep the money printer going, and the game economy just becomes just like the US dollar, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're just going to have to, lower expectations on, how long it takes to get our money back. And I do want to say this before we jump off this. I was looking at the Pegaxy and the Axie token prices. So Pegaxy hit an all-time high. We're looking at a 4x. Axie hit all-time high again. We're looking at a 3x. Point Pegaxy. You look at the circulating supply. Axie Infinity has roughly about a quarter of it out. Pegaxy has about half of it out. Point Pegaxy. So if I was looking to, I'm not in either game, just the tokenomics. I'm liking PGX right now. That's just my 2 cents.
PGX, interesting choice.
Brycent seems like he got something to say on that.
I will say PGX helped me buy my mutant ape. I bought in kind of low and then I flipped it and got the mutant. So I'm not going to say anything bad either.
Love it. Fam.
I wanted to comment on kind of just real quick on what Deezy was saying about having to jump ship every 3 months as kind of being this normal thing. Like, yeah, sure, you can do it. You just got to keep finding the next game because of some of the base issues we see with it. But we also got to think about like, okay, well, that's become the norm here with play to earn gaming, but that's kind of the norm with gaming in general. If you really look at the way gamers migrate from game to game to game, it may not be like 3 months. It might be a little bit too short of a time frame, but it's not much more than that. I've definitely seen games come out and within 6 months, they've lost 80% of their player base 20% has stuck around. Like I started playing New Worlds when it first came out, loved the game, played it for about 3 months, maybe 4, and then I just fell off, man. And it was great. I love the game, have fun with it. And then, but you have the hardcore people that stick around, and then it kind of ebbs and flows because then they come out with a new DLC and everyone's back in it because it's interesting again. And I think that's kind of the nature of gaming in general. So we see that a lot in games outside of play to earn. So I don't know that's ever going to change, but you're right. I think that the ROIs will definitely get a little bit longer there. They're not going to be maybe a quick saying, 30 days, 20 days. People are always looking for that. I think they will get farther out. So I agree with you on that.
I want to address someone in the chat was saying it doesn't require more players. It requires burning. That's kind of right. Just getting new players is the easy version of that, and requiring burning. Eventually, you're going to have enough skins. You're going to have enough, items. You're going to have enough paint jobs on your race car. Like eventually, that if you can invent it, go invent it. You'll be a billionaire.
I mean, it's possible to do. It's possible to have the right kind of burn mechanics that scale depending on what's going on with the game. So if you had like entry fees that scale depending on price action and things like that, and overall inventory of the NFTs themselves and of the token, how much is out there, you have to take in a lot of those things in consideration, and then have a dynamic sort of scaling that would always
you need to like logarithmically scale where the whales get less and the noobs get more. I think Bomb Crypto might be doing that.
One thing that I thought was like interesting that I don't see any projects doing yet is why don't you just have it to where you stop using an unnecessary utility token that you can just print to hell because there's no max cap. You just use whatever governance token you were going to create and have it to where a percentage of marketplace fees actually funds your play to earn pool. So now your play to earn is actually tied to your marketplace instead of being tied to whether or not you can create enough burn mechanisms to sustain some random token that probably isn't worth much of anything anyway. And then you don't got to worry about, why are yields down or up? It's because someone's either buying more or selling less. It probably would create a bit more sustainable economy because it's all marketplace reliant in terms of what rewards are given back to the community.
No, and I think you're right there. Also, the issue with that we'll see on the dev side is that they understand that then ties the amount of money they're going to be getting themselves to how many people are interested in buying and bringing and coming into that marketplace. So I think that you make a great point there, though. You make a great point.
Yeah, and I think too, it's interesting to see we're going to see it shift sort of from this play to earn to a play and earn kind of mentality here eventually, and maybe there'll be enough great games out that are fun to play where you could be playing them all the time and make a living wage from them, like together, right? And yeah, let's hop on to our next topic here. We got another good one coming up. Talking about NFT lawsuits and regulations here, and a bit more bad news, I guess you could say, on the OpenSea side of things, as we've seen recently. We're having a new lawsuit come out here where a Texas man who had one of his Bored Apes or mutant apes essentially sold out from underneath him during that OpenSea, people are going to say hack, right, or exploit, but it was really just people not like having their listings taken down or in a sensible way. But they're trying to say that it was partially liable. OpenSea was partially liable in this matter, and it's actually being taken through Texas courts right now. So I'm curious to see what you guys think about this now that we're actually kind of seeing NFTs enter the judiciary system in the United States, at least. So Deezy, let me start with you, man. What sort of implications do you think like a decision from this lawsuit is going to have on NFTs in general?
Well, that's assuming it gets decided and, goes to court and, jury of the peers actually, then the judge rules. I don't think that'll happen. I'm pretty sure they'll settle. I'm fairly certain, the amount that guy has lost for the ape really pales in comparison to the legal team that OpenSea has. And, I believe they're based in California. So, a lot of their advisors are from Silicon Valley. So you're probably looking at a high-end San Francisco blockchain firm. So I'm sure they'll just want to settle because there's no way just giving this guy the amount of money for it. They'll give him a gold fur ape, just be like, shut up, leave us alone. I don't see it go into case, but let's just play that scenario. It does go to court and the judge does rule in a favor. I think the plaintiff does have a case. I think there's reasonable expectation of it, not having to go through this and, the exploit that was exploited, it wasn't an issue a month before, 6 months before. So I think he has, reasonable, expectation that everything was going to be fine. He didn't need to go through these proper steps. I think everybody on the show would agree, like, well, he should have, but he can make the case that it's their fault. I think that's possible. I think the jury of the peers, they'll be confused. They'll see the small guy and they'll see the big corporation and they'll say it's the corporation's fault. Will it like reverberate? I think, what marketplaces are going to have an issue. I mean, OpenSea will, definitely take a little more care. I do think, it'll require, Cardano and Solana and Tezos and these other marketplaces to basically, get on their engineers a little bit more and like, look, if this does issue, if we have some issues from this, it is going to be our fault. So make sure, guy in the basement that's doing coding in the corner, make sure you know what you're doing. But I don't think it'll have any kind of, real large ramifications, just because the dollar amount, when we're looking at OpenSea, it's a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and we're talking about an ape that costs 100,000, which is a whole lot of money. But in this grand scheme of things, it really isn't that much money. It's not like McDonald's burning you with coffee. You can say, oh my God, I have issues for the rest of my life. They just give that guy another ape. What's the worst thing he could say is, I missed a yacht party that Justin Bieber was there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really think he can really say he has punitive damages from this. They can always just give him another ape. Just shut up and take an ape. That's what I would say.
Yeah. And I wonder too, like, I'm curious to see this play out, I guess, in a broader sense too, just because, like, Stache, let me ask you, man, like, what do you see this? We're going to see NFTs and crypto technology appear more and more in things like this, as this space continues to get bigger and bigger. And Deezy, like you put it too, if, say a criminal case happens, right, you're being something with a jury of your peers. Like, is a jury of your peers even going to be able to understand like what is going on in this case? Like, how do you think this works going forward with laws and regulations in court cases?
I mean, I think I think that you're right. I think it's going to be an uphill battle. In general, because the issue we have here and the issue with OpenSea is it's a centralized third party. So it's just like your bank. If your bank had some sort of error in their code and someone was able to drain your account because there was some error in their code that they didn't catch, the bank for sure would be on the hook for this money. And so I think I feel the same way, because OpenSea, they have not. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I've been with OpenSea since the beginning, man. When nobody knew what they were, when nobody was was talking about NFTs, they have not done the amount of development work and maintenance on their platform as they should be for a company at the valuation they're at right now. They should be tripling, quadrupling down on their development and things they've been doing, and they just really haven't been. They haven't been adding new features. They haven't been adding more security, things like this, and they're being reactive and not proactive about it. And that's not what we want from a company valued at this big and being such a huge linchpin in the NFT industry. Now, when it comes to these cases, it is going to be a hard thing to actually litigate, because, as you said, man, you gotta explain a lot to people before they can even make a decision on this and say, hey, here's enough information to make an actual decision on why this is wrong. But it would be the same thing if you were trying to make a decision on, like, bank code being the issue. I think a lot of people are familiar with that enough where they can make that decision even if they don't understand the technical side. And I think that NFTs make it even worse. So they're gonna have to learn something. If it goes to court, if it goes to trial like this, the people that are going to be making decisions will have to learn something about the industry, and that all comes down to that jury picking, right? The one side wants to get rid of people that don't know about NFTs, and the other side wants people that knows about NFTs so they can get an advantage there. So there's going to be a lot of strategy. I'm with Deezy though. I don't think it's going to go to court, man. I think just kick the dude another, kick him another Bored Ape, man. Who cares? And maybe give him a little bit one that's a little bit better, maybe a higher rarity, and then maybe he'll be okay. And he's like, all right, it's cool, guys. I miss a yacht party too, but yeah, here's my Bored Ape. So I don't think it'll go to court either, but it will be a sticky situation moving forward for any cases, because it will keep happening. It will keep happening.
And yeah, I mean, like you said too about OpenSea, it's just been, I feel like, not only like are they being reactive, but it's just been like scandal after scandal after scandal recently, at least. And PandaPops, I want to ask you, like, do you think that OpenSea is going to be like, do you think that people are going to keep continuing to use OpenSea like over and over again as this stuff keeps happening? Like, it doesn't seem like they're really
No.
losing any traction from any of this.
Not if this keeps happening. No, it's a little bit like Stache was saying, they're just being reactive, not proactive, like especially with everything that they've got going on and how long they've been in the space. And it just reminds me of Blockbusters. Don't know if you had it in the States. I think you probably did. Yeah. And so Blockbusters they just always thought, oh, it's loyalty. People will be loyal to us because we've been here the longest. And then when other things came out, like was it like something came out, the film, and then like Netflix came out, and they're like, oh no, people are gonna still come to us because they're loyal, we've been here so long. But they weren't doing it right, and then by the time they did decide to change, it was too late. And so then, you know, we all know how that ended. And I feel like OpenSea will end up going that way if all they're going to do is rely on people's loyalty to them. And it's put me off. Everything that's happening has put me somewhat off OpenSea. I'm probably not going to fully stop using it, but it's definitely made me look towards other places because, you know, why would I if there's these issues here? And yes, we could all say, yes, that guy should have done the proper things of canceling it. But a lot of people don't always think that way. Like to me, maybe when I first started and I thought, hey, I've just been using a normal wallet and I want to move stuff over to a hard wallet. Like I wouldn't think about canceling something that's been up for sale. I'd probably think about just moving it or moving it somewhere else for whatever reason. So a lot of people, especially new, won't think about that and then would get burnt by it. And yeah, they do deserve to be sued. I don't know how it will turn out, but they are liable in my personal opinion, because it's something that shouldn't have happened. And if they keep going the way they're going and not really, you know, doing stuff that they should be doing and building up the structure of their site and everything like that properly, then yeah, people aren't going to be loyal to something that isn't working properly and that has issues.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting too, like you think about cases like this, like do you ever think like the FTC would ever get involved in something like this, you know, or wanting to, like, do you ever, like, Brycent, let me ask you this, man, do you ever think it's even possible to like regulate NFTs like this? Like would the government even be able to protect consumers in a situation like this?
Maybe not within like the next 3 to 5 years, but if like the amount of scams and consumers in America goes up, it'll get to a point where they'll start creating some type of structure around it, which we don't want. One thing I will say is like, I used to be big in like the whole CSGO gambling space when like that was a big thing. And we never thought that like it would get knocked off so quickly. But as soon as one lawsuit came across, Valve was like, nope, and shut the entire thing down. Now, you can't shut it down because it's like on the blockchain and crypto, but it could become a thing where it's like a bit more painful for Americans to like get to a space where they can purchase NFTs. Imagine if they made it to where the SEC looked at every minting NFT project as like an ICO or IPO. I don't know what the hell you call them, but something like that, that would be pretty like extreme. But if people are getting scammed and money keeps exchanging the way it is, we could see some level of regulation. I don't want to see it, but I'm just like thinking like cautiously about what could potentially happen.
I mean, I think we see it in some form or another. You know, it has to happen in some way, whether that's good or bad. Hopefully we have enough money and lobbyists to make it good, right? But I think that's all the time we have tonight, guys. I want to say thank you again for hopping on around the metaverse with us. Back again after a short hiatus. Before we hop off the show tonight, you guys watching out there, don't forget to check out the description and go follow and subscribe to all of our guests on the show tonight. They put out some great content for you guys. So go show them some love too. And then don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel and like this video as well. Show us some love, of course. Spread that mustache love around, right? But yeah, that's all we got. That's all we got for tonight, folks. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for watching. See you next week on Around the Metaverse. We out.